On today's episode of the Unwritten Rule, Mizzou has its AD. Finally, it was like 9 weeks or whatever of the search. They hired a guy, Laird Veatch, from Memphis. We're going to talk about him, just give kind of an overview of his background, talk about why we think it's a pretty good hire. He's got some good Mizzou ties, so we'll dive into that, the new AD hire. And then we have a bunch of football commits to talk about because we had 3 at the high school level and 1 transfer for Mizzou. They got a guy from SMU, an offensive tackle. We'll dive into that. Payton's going to give a little O-line kind of preview because of that. He's got he had a tweet the other day that had his offensive line projections kind of on it. So we'll talk about that. Talk about the 3 guys that came in Mizzou's 2025 class, starting to come together. They've got 5 commits now. So we'll talk about those 3 and what they kind of bring, who they are, all that fun stuff. And then we have quick hits. We got Jerseys of the Week, Sean East Maine Birds, and the best things we've learned. So once again, we are going to do eventually a lineup projection for men's basketball, like a way too early thing. But of course, every time I keep saying that, news keeps happening. So we got to talk about the news. It'll just be me and Payton for the first segment. And then Kenny was with us for quick hits. He went to Chicago to go watch baseball. So he wasn't available to record the rest of the show, but we have a great show nonetheless for you guys with me and Payton diving into Veatch's hire and then a bunch of football recruiting stuff, like I said. So good show ahead, and it's all presented thanks to our wonderful sponsors. BetOnline. BetOnline is your #1 source for all your summer sports this season. MLB, golf, plus NBA and NHL playoffs. Those have both been awesome, by the way. All the latest stats, news, and scores are all available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today and use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online. It's where the game starts. Thank you to them for sponsoring the show. Let's dive into it. The Unwritten Rule starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Go. Go!
All right, ready?
Yeah, it's recording, so.
I know. Welcome back to the Unwritten Rule. Today is Friday, April 26th, and Mizzou has its new AD, Payton. Laird Veatch. He's coming from Memphis. He is replacing Desiree Reed-Francois as the Tigers' next director of athletics. So they have their new AD, pretty exciting stuff. He's got a pretty long track record and some decent ties to Mizzou. I'm going to just go through his resume. But finally, first and foremost, Mizzou has an AD. About a 9-week search this took since Desiree left in mid-February, late-ish February. And here you go. Here is Veatch's track record before building up to now becoming the Mizzou AD. So he was a player originally, started at Kansas State, played there, graduated in 95. From 95 to 2003, he was actually with Mizzou as well as Iowa State and Texas in a couple of administrative roles. Then he became the GM of Mizzou Sports Properties for Learfield, which, if you don't know Learfield, it's just a media company. So he was tied with Mizzou there, worked there from 2003 to 2010, then went back to Kansas State, was in various administrative roles, including an interim AD stint at his alma mater. Went to Florida State. He was the associate AD for internal affairs. And then in 2019, he took over at Memphis, was their AD there until just a couple days ago when he is now the Mizzou AD and took that job. So a pretty good resume. Lots of Mizzou ties in there, Payton. He was a name that I think had been linked for a while, but got over the line here now for Mizzou. What do you think of Laird Veatch taking over the AD things here for Mizzou in the next future going forward?
Yeah, finally is right. I mean, a 9-week search. Laird Veatch was someone that people connected to Mizzou like right away when the search broke out. I think he was like the first target or like candidate that like Gabe Power Mizzou initially recommended. So, I mean, it took a while, but they finally got it right, I think. He seemed, look, I'm not a super up with it person when it comes to AD candidates, but everyone says he's on the cutting edge of NIL. I think just before he took this job, he was able to get a deal, big NIL deal done at Memphis with FedEx, because obviously I believe the owners of FedEx or something to that effect, some high up execs went to Memphis. So he was able to get the big NIL deal done with them. So clearly he knows what he's doing. That's obviously something that's going to need to continue at Mizzou. Mizzou's really been one of the few schools that has really benefited from the NIL age. I think that's undisputable. So it'll be important that they keep that going. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a good hire. Everyone seems to be on board with it. I think everyone's just a little confused why it took forever.
Yeah, I think that is what it is. It's done now, and he's across the line, like you said, has some pretty good ties to Memphis. I kind of like that he has the Mizzou ties as well, and he's going to have an introductory press conference on Friday, so we'll probably recap that on Monday's show, and just about some of the things he says, some of the plans he has. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned the forefront of NIL stuff. I mean, it's that's a key thing for Mizzou. A state that, passed a pretty revolutionary NIL law with allowing the high schoolers to get paid once they commit to Mizzou and kind of being on the cutting edge of that. So it seems like a nice match. He's got some good ties. I think it'll be a pretty solid hire. Shout out Callum McAndrew for this tweet. He put his contract details out there for anyone curious. He will make $1.3 million annually, guaranteed in total compensation as the new Mizzou AD. Broken down, it goes about $900K to his salary, $200K non-salary compensation, and $200K deferred compensation. I'm not a financially savvy mind. I don't really know how good or bad AD contracts can be, but I think that seems like a pretty friendly salary for any job, and the job of a guy who wants to take, and as we're hoping, takes Mizzou kind of into this future with how great the football program's been, how promising. You've got men's basketball and a bunch of other sports as well. So yeah. Laird Veatch is the new Mizzou AD. Again, we'll probably have some stuff on what he says, if he says anything interesting from his press conference. I want to end on this, Payton, too. Here's this highlight. This comes from the Kansas State fan on Twitter. This is him at Kansas State getting a sack on against Mizzou with just a gnarly hit. Not a great pro Mizzou highlight, but good for him.
He's here now. It is what it is.
Yeah.
One last note on Veatch, he has several incentives that Callum also tweeted out. $75K if he hits the revenue generation target. He gets $50K for an SEC football title and $50K for a national title in football. $10K for an SEC men's basketball title. $15K for a Final Four. $25K for a national title, and he gets another $25K if there's a 90% graduation rate across all the sports. So there you go.
There's all those numbers that Payton just read on the screen if you're watching on the YouTube. I think they seem like good incentives. I don't know. I'm excited. I did laugh at that hit though, even though it was, I guess, against Mizzou. But you know what? He's on the right side now, like Payton said. Laird Veatch, the new Mizzou AD. Okay, yeah, Laird Veatch, the new head man at Mizzou Athletics, looking to hopefully take the Tigers, into the future and kind of preserve this momentum that's been going well, especially on the gridiron, which that's a natural segue into what else we have for the show. We got a bunch of recruits from the high school level, but then also a big transfer, Payton. Marcus Bryant, as you can see on screen if you're watching on the YouTube, he committed to Missouri here. He's from SMU, played on the offensive line. He was an all-ACC first-teamer, 6'7", 325 pounds, huge man, and has a year of eligibility left. And now he's going to join the Tigers' offensive line. And this one got a lot of buzz, and I think for good reason. Obviously, his accolades speak for himself. But another addition here, Payton, for the offensive line. Another addition from the AAC. We've been joking about the Houston pipeline. I know technically they're in the Big 12 now, but you got SMU there now, or an SMU guy there now. But how big is this addition here? Marcus Bryant coming to Mizzou. Before we get into, I know you were speculating what the rest of this O-line could look like, but thoughts on Bryant joining the Tigers from SMU?
Well, at 6'7", 325, it is literally a huge addition. So there's that. But I mean, just actually talking about it, I mean, that's the second year in a row Mizzou has brought in a first-team All-AAC selection. Last year they brought in Cameron Johnson, and after some early season struggles, he turned into a rock-solid right guard for the Tigers. Brandon Jones has done exceptional work both in the portal and in the high school ranks. Cannot overstate how big he's been since he's gotten to Mizzou. This is, I mean, they got obviously one of the top, maybe the top offensive tackle in the winter portal window in Caden Green. Now you get one of the top ones in the spring portal window, although I do believe he's been in for quite a while, Marcus Bryant. So really, they're just going all in on this offense for the final year of Brady Cook and almost certainly Luther Burden. I mean, you got one of the top maybe the top wide receiver room in all of the country. One of the best offensive line groups now, I think, in the SEC, maybe the country. A third-year starter at QB who showed exceptional growth last year. Two running backs who have had 1,000-yard seasons in their career. Just cannot overstate how loaded on paper this offense is.
Yeah, you're right. And I want to ask you about that, particularly in the offensive line, because I know you had a tweet and a couple other people were tweeting, kind of projecting what the offensive line could look like. We presume this guy is going to come in and probably be a starter. Obviously stranger things have happened, but what do you see as the starting rotation now? I know, basically walk us through the tweet I guess you posted the other day. What do you kind of see as this starting offensive line group here next season with Bryant presumably included in that?
Yeah, I mean, so now you have a situation where you have three guys that could definitely play tackle for you. I don't think Marcus Bryant at 6'7", 325 is kicking into guard. I think he's locked into one of the tackle spots. So really, my tweet was my preference for the O-line would be Bryant at left tackle. I'd keep Green at left guard, where he was exceptional as a freshman in the Big 12. I think it's fine to keep him there. I don't think it's the end of the world if he doesn't play tackle this season. Tollison is going to be your center either way. They haven't brought in someone to challenge him there. When he is snapping the ball correctly, was great. Cameron Johnson's going to be at one of the guard spots. In my preference, I'd prefer he stay at right guard, and I'd keep Armand Membu at right tackle. I think he's a physical freak who has just really flashed the potential to be an NFL level player at right tackle. I wouldn't move him, but with the numbers game, I kind of expect it to be Green at left tackle. I expect them to move Johnson over to left guard just because I believe that is kind of what they were doing in the spring. Connor Tollison's obviously staying at center. I'd kick Membu into guard because he can play guard. I know out of high school, he's kind of billed as a tackle/guard. And then Marcus Bryant playing at right tackle. We'll see how they figure it out. Fall camp is going to be here before we know it, and we get a lot of answers to these questions. But I kind of expect it to shape out like that.
I mean, that feels pretty great. Like, that's two pretty elite transfer additions and three guys who were part of a good offensive line last year. So I think whichever way you kind of slice it, assuming, like you said in fall camp, none of these guys suck or take, a major step back or anything like that. I think you've got a pretty stacked offensive line protecting Brady Cook and setting him up for a lot of success, hopefully blocking for this, whatever they're going to do at running back, whether it's a tandem of Carroll and Noel or what have you. But I don't know. I think that's a really exciting, that's why I wanted to highlight that, an exciting group to go into next season with, and a huge addition, like Payton said, literally at 6'7", 325, and figuratively with Marcus Bryant coming in. I can't 6'7", 325. What do you do? I don't should we put him on the basketball team too?
You play tackle, man. You play tackle.
You play tackle, I guess. I think this is a big man touchdown waiting to happen is what this is. This is a Kirby Moore little like go route or whatever they run, and a little fade to the end zone for Marcus Bryant. He gets a touchdown on senior day or something. Yeah, it's exciting stuff here with his addition. We also, like I said, 3 recruits coming in on the high school level. We'll go to the first one because actually I'll stay on the offensive line, and this is probably the biggest of the 3. Again, literally and figuratively. I don't mean to keep doing that, but I guess I'm going to keep doing that. And an in-state guy is the first one we'll talk about. Jack Lange. He plays for Eureka High School, one of the best town names as well. And Missouri's full of some pretty good ones. Look it up if you don't know. He decided to commit to Mizzou. This one, to me, felt like it was kind of building up for a while. A consensus top 5 player in the state, as you can see on here on 3 posts. Some of the recruiting sites, he's the #1 player on 3 24/7 and ESPN's rankings from Missouri. Consensus 4-star guy, 6'8", 275 out of Eureka. Big pickup for the Tigers here, Peyton. He chose them ultimately over Wisconsin, Michigan, and Nebraska. So three kind of corn-fed Big Ten schools, but Jack Lange deciding to stay home, coming to Mizzou next season.
Yeah, noted. Wait, what were the 3 you said? Did you say
Wisconsin, Michigan, and Nebraska?
Okay, I saw Ole Miss there, and I was like, yeah, noted Big Ten school Ole Miss. But yeah, no, this is a very big one. Depending on who you ask, which recruiting service you ask, this is the 2nd year in a row that Missouri has locked down both of the #1 recruits in the state. I think everyone would agree that Nwaneri was the #1 in the state last year. This season, though, Rivals does not agree that Lang is the #1. But either way, big pickup. Locking down the borders has always been a thing Missouri's been pretty interested in. But, I mean, going back-to-back and getting not consensus, obviously, but pretty close to it, the #1 recruit in the state in back-to-back years is pretty unprecedented for Mizzou. And it's 3 out of 4 years that they did it if you go back to Luther Burden's recruiting years. So I don't know what else we really need to say about Drink's recruiting chops. Now that he has tangible evidence of what he was building, I mean, it can get cranked up to another level even. Jack Lange and the other 2 that we're going to talk about are just, I'm sure, the next steps in what's sure to be a pretty substantial class.
Definitely. Yeah, I think you touched on it. Again, this felt kind of like a feeling for a while that he was ultimately going to choose Mizzou. So it's nice that they could lock him down. This also really annoys me on a side tangent. I hate when high schools do the copycat college logos. He plays like Eureka with the Wildcats. This is just the Kansas State logo. This is like ridiculous. But anyway, Jack Lange coming in. He will be a Missouri Tiger here next season. Next guy, I guess we'll just go one by one because that's what I started doing. Let's talk about Dante McClellan, Peyton, the linebacker, also seen as a 4-star, at least by Rivals, and on 3 24/7 and ESPN see him as a 3-star, as you can see. But Dante McClellan out of Canton, he picked Mizzou, the linebacker, over Michigan State, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Louisville. Last season, 75 tackles, 13 for loss, 4 sacks, 1 interception. He was selected to the All-State team in Ohio. He's from Canton. Hopefully, Mizzou is his first step to a journey to getting put in Canton at the next level. There you go. Projection. Thoughts on Dante McClellan, Peyton?
Yeah, again, I mean, fringe 4-star, depending on who you ask. That's always lovely. It's just nice that Drink can pick up a guy that is a high 3-star, maybe a lower 4-star, and it just feels like another day on the calendar. We've talked about this a million times. Also, I actually did note it. Ohio's interesting territory. Can you scroll down? I don't know who would have recruited him there. Maybe it was just straight up DJ Smith. Doesn't say.
He does not have anyone listed.
But I'd presume it's DJ Smith. It is his position group. But as we've touched on before, Missouri has a very unique, kind of recruiting strategy. They don't necessarily have position by position doing it. But yeah, Ohio, very interesting territory. Good to go in there and pluck a 3/4-star.
Yeah, definitely. 6'2", 200-pound linebacker. Probably put a little bit more on or whatever as he gets older, but an industry 4-star. you'll take it. No doubt about it. And then the last one, Josiah Lewis. He's out of. This is why I'm sad we don't have Kenny on the show, because he is a what? Oh, did I say Josiah? My brain just like switched words. Joshua Lewis. Sorry, Josh. This is why I'm sad we don't have Kenny here, because he's a Louisiana kid, and Kenny's somewhat familiar with that recruiting territory. But Joshua Lewis picking Mizzou, a little bit lower rated of a recruit on 3 and 247 have him as a 3-star, but nevertheless, overall 3-star. Clearly, Mizzou saw something in him. Joshua Lewis, any thoughts on him? Oh, I have numbers on him too. Hold on, I put those down in my notes somewhere. He was, this was a note I wanted to say. Brian Early was recruiting him at Houston for a little while before he went to Mizzou. First team all district and all state in 2023 in Louisiana.
Yeah, I mean, then that connection obviously makes sense with Brian Early. Obviously, he thinks he sees something in Joshua Lewis that he can tap into. This isn't the first time Missouri has gone down to Louisiana and picked up maybe a little bit of an unheralded guy. I mean, Daniel Blood was a 3-star that was committed to ULL and really didn't have a whole ton of Power 5 looks. Missouri went in and got him. He was able to see the field a few times his freshman year, had a catch against LSU even. So who knows? Maybe they have a little bit of a inside source about who's maybe under the radar in Louisiana.
Yeah, they've done well all over the country. Like we talked about the weird East Coast connection that's seeming like it's formed with some of the people they've been linked to, and of course, Zoller's the quarterback. So, it seems like they're just doing a good job of recruiting. And now, Payton, I'll ask you this from an overarching perspective. So with these 3 guys in, Mizzou has 5 members from the high school level of its recruiting class in 2025. They rank number 32 on 24/7, number 30 on Rivals, and number 19 on On3, all about 10th or 11th in the SEC on all 3 of those sites. All the guys they have committed now, so Lange, Lewis, and McClellan, who they just got, as well as Jason Dowell, the defensive tackle, and of course, Matt Zollers, the quarterback. How are you feeling now in late April about Mizzou's 2025 class? Definitely headlined by Zollers. He comes in and, possibly competes for a starting job as a true freshman. We'll see. But just overall, what do you feel about, Mizzou's recruiting class being up to 5 members now heading into kind of the late spring, early summer period?
I mean, it's definitely, you can't feel anything but good about where the class is sitting, especially last year, this time of the year. There really was not a lot coming, like a whole ton of buzz for really anything Missouri related on the recruiting front. And it wound up being a very, very good class. I think maybe Drink's second best, if I'm not mistaken, depending on the recruiting site you look on. And that would also mean it was the second best in school history, because that's what Drinkwitz does. And also they're obviously not done. 19 to 30 range in the recruiting sites, and they have plenty more that they have buzz around. Matt Zollers actually, after Lange committed, hopped on with On3. He was asked what other commitments he'd maybe like to see for Missouri. And this is from Callum McAndrew. Callum McAndrew tweeted the names. He said Javen Boggs, the wide receiver Corey Sims, wide receiver Donovan Olagbode. I'm probably butchering that, but Olagbode is who I'm going to say. Tight end Andrew Olesh, tight end Chase Lofton, and running back Jamarian Marrow. There's plenty more that Mizzou is going after, plenty more to come. They've got visits coming. We'll see how it shakes out, but this has the potential to really be Drinkwitz's best class yet.
Yeah, those are some great names for sure on the recruiting trail. And I just love how Zollers, like, he's since he's committed, very active on Twitter, very like tweeting the tiger emojis, retweeting any Mizzou related thing. We know him and James Madison will have to carry the Mizzou football players' presence on Twitter going forward, I guess. But yeah, some definitely exciting stuff for the future of Mizzou football on the recruiting show. We'll keep you all posted on what goes on with that. On Monday, we'll have more words from the AD as well. But yeah, heading into the summertime, we'll have any recruiting updates, any more commits, hopefully a bunch more to follow the ones that came in. With that, let's segue. We'll kick it to ourselves, finish up the show with quick hits. What's up, brothers? Quick hits time. Tuesday. It's actually Wednesday when we're recording this, but it is quick hits time. Shout out Sketch. Kenny, is your jersey of the week?
My jersey of the week goes to Tilda Shofkist. I know I probably butchered that, and I do apologize to her, but she's the latest transfer for the women's basketball team, a 5'7" sophomore transfer from Presbyterian women's basketball. She's originally from Sweden, so maybe a Sweden pipeline being dug out for the women's basketball program, but just another addition kind of moving forward. Did read that she was kind of a sharpshooter, so with the numbers, probably not the best right now, just, looking at it from what Payton said as well. But, just another girl to another woman in the program.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, it's, I believe, their third commit of the cycle, which is 3 more than I would have expected under Pynchon. I'm not going to lie. She's about as lame duck as you can get. I mean, she has 1 year left on her deal and a new AD coming in. But, I mean, the first 2 especially were very impressive. This one, I mean, she is just a sophomore. So, I mean, it is definitely possible that it's more of a project deal. And her freshman year, I mean, she did shoot very well. I mean, she shot 45.9% overall, but from deep, she shot 40.2%. Those numbers dropped this year to 38.4 and 30.1. So I guess Pynchon is probably banking on getting her back to more of her freshman year form. She did have a game against South Carolina this year in the tournament. So she's faced SEC competition before. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the right term there, Peyton, is pre-fired. She's for Robin Pynchon. She's basically pre-fired with a year left on her deal. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But she is doing some work in the transfer portal. So, we'll see if she can save her job. This would be an all-time job security move if she can do that in one season with a new AD with only a year left on her deal. But yeah, wish her the best. We'll see how that goes. What is your jersey of the week, Mr. Payton?
We're recording this on Wednesday, so this could really backfire. But my jersey of the week is going to be Caleb Williams in a Bears uni, assuming he is drafted by the Chicago Bears. If not, this will just look really stupid. But, I mean, it's pretty much an open – it's not even really a secret anymore. I mean, Caleb Williams is throwing footballs with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze, mind you. It seems like a lock, which means because I'm talking about it now, it won't be happening. But I'm fired up about it. I'm painting my nails with you, Caleb. Bear down.
You should paint your nails, actually. We should have made a bet about that if you did get drafted. Who picks number 8, Peyton?
Atlanta.
I don't think they would need Rome.
There's
it looks like you could get both. It's one package. Package of them.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, Peyton, that's really funny you did this, and then when they picked Drake May, it's really weird,
they
man.
Picked Jaden Daniels.
They picked Joe Alt. Yeah, I don't know. Well, hopefully, barring, again, we are recording this on a Wednesday, so when you listen to this, you'll know who, but hopefully for Peyton's sake, it's Caleb Williams. This will be a fun show if it's not Caleb Williams. We'll say that. That'll be revisited thoroughly. We were at the draft almost a year ago, by the way. Unwritten Rule, 3 out of 3. It's a good time.
Fun.
Good time. All right. Yeah, we were standing for a long time.
We were standing on an incline or a decline, so that didn't help.
Yeah, that was tough. All right, my jersey of the week. I'm giving it to former Laker great Magic Johnson. For, as you can see on screen, but I'll read it as well. Magic Johnson, if you're not on X.com very much, is kind of a funny guy on Twitter. Just is Captain Obvious. He tweets, basically like game recaps a lot of the time on NBA games, and he kind of comes alive in the playoffs. That's when people see a lot of his tweets. Like, so the Lakers the Nuggets beat the Lakers on like a buzzer beater. He would have tweeted something like, "What an amazing ending to the Los Angeles Lakers versus Denver Nuggets game. Jamal Murray really came down and hit a beautiful shot to win the game. Like, it's just commentary. He would have tweeted something like that, except, as you can see on the graphic, he was too devastated. He couldn't even tweet at the Lakers buzzer beater loss to the Nuggets. And Bleacher Report decided to make a graphic, which is going to become an all-time Twitter user graphic. If, you know, I'm sure I'll be tweeting that for some sort of upset sports moment I have. It'll be tweeted by the Unwritten Rule, I'm sure, if Mizzou has some sort of game that's just goes horribly wrong. But yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I tweeted last night. I was so devastated I couldn't even tweet. An unforgettable shot by Jamal Murray and an outstanding comeback by the Nuggets. So hope you're feeling better, Irvin, Magic Johnson. But all-time banner and graphic that we can now use. I know the three of us are pretty avid X users, so.
LeBron said, "Not on my watch, big fella." This is.
I don't think he runs this account. I think that they're farming engagement.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like something like if I had if I was running Magic Johnson's account, I'd be having way more fun with it than just tweeting recaps of games. But I really needed that Jamal Murray shot. My minus 700 Nuggets over Lakers bet is pretty good. So
that is that is a great reminder. We had our first push in the bets. The first push ever since we've been doing this. We did it for the yes, but that's in the NFL picks. Just in the regular best beats of the week, we had never had a push. And Jack, you had the push, the first one.
What was it again?
You did the Clippers game. And it was -3.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Did he bet on Dallas?
No. I did the Clippers +3, I think.
Okay, so that is a push.
So pushed. Yeah.
Wow. History
made.
First time.
Magic Johnson should tweet about that. But you will definitely see that graphic of Magic Johnson saying, "I was so devastated I couldn't even tweet on the Unwritten Rule account" at some point. I mean, hopefully not, but you probably will if there's
Oklahoma beats Mizzou 40-0.
Yeah.
In November.
Alabama shuts them out in October, something like that. Hopefully not. Again, we're not trying to manifest that, but I don't know. It was an all-time moment. Anyway, what's the next segment, Sean?
I like no capping. He's the main bird.
Main bird of the week, Kenny.
We've done a couple for Kirk Cousins now since he's signed with the Atlanta Falcons. But I wanted to give one to Matt Ryan. This was a really nice video. If you're watching on YouTube, you can watch it here. You can find it on X and all the other social media platforms for the Falcons. Just a very nice thank you to the team that, he spent most of his career with. And he officially retired this week on Monday. And, I was watching it, and I honestly, I kind of felt something. It's like watching one of those, watching one of Brady, Manning. It's the quarterbacks you grew up watching, and now he's officially retired. I think it's safe to say, though, he didn't have all the accolades, went to one Super Bowl, won the MVP, but Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer. His name is in all the top 10 stats for quarterbacks, and he did it pretty quietly.
I would say first ballot Hall of Famer. And I'm with you, Kenny. Watching this video, I was like, man, it's really your childhood.
Well said.
Yeah. Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, all those guys, they're gone now. It's just crazy.
David Carr.
Yep. David Carr.
Carson Palmer.
Yeah. Another
close. He might have been close.
Matt Stafford's still there, I guess, but
yeah. For me, it's like watching Jason Campbell retire.
Michael Turner.
Michael Turner.
Dog.
It's like Brian Hoyer. Who's next, really? Who's going to be the next one of these great
Jimmy
QBs?
Clausen.
Brian St. Pierre. There's so many great.
Seneca Wallace.
Let's not get too off track, but this was a very nice video. Very well done. I'm going to choose to ignore the fact that Colts thing happened forever.
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
That was bad. Payne, what's your main bird?
My main bird of the week is Jordan Walker. Jaywalk. More like Jay sent down. Jay sent down. That's right. Jay, no attack angle. Jordan Walker, who, was just so hyped coming up. I hate to do this to you Cardinals fans. He's just not been very good. His defense, if I'm not mistaken, I read has taken a bit of a tick up this year, but he has been a total mess at the plate, striking out a lot. I mean, he just hits ground balls at a commensurate rate. So they're sending him back down. They're trying to get him to get his swing fixed, just figure some things out. He was a mess this year, and the Cardinals in general have just been a total debacle. We'll see what winds up happening. Personally, as a Cubs fan, I kind of got to root against him. Sorry.
Tough beat.
He was my rookie of the year last year. He was
Great pick. Negative
above average hitter. He was -4 player.
Yeah. So
tough beat.
That's it.
All right. My main bird of the week. I'm sticking in the NBA. It's a great headline to pick, Kenny. I'm going to, unfortunately, I'm not beating the Jack secretly likes Kansas allegations here, because I am picking somebody who went to Kansas in Paul Pierce. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we ever addressed that on air, but I do not own a Kansas hat, for the one person who commented.
You were wearing one.
It wasn't. This one is also not. It's not a Kansas hat.
Jack Lange was yelling rock chalk from the media section during the border war.
Disgusting. I would rather throw up. But anyway, I am picking someone from Kansas for this. I'm picking Paul Pierce. The NBA gets so much funnier when it's in the playoffs. The Athletic did some poll, and they did. I forget who was surveyed here, but they did like an all-time greats, and people were asking who the greatest. And the question was who is the greatest player of all time. And the tweet from NBA Central that I saw, it says NBA players have voted Michael Jordan as the greatest NBA player of all time, but LeBron James is beginning to close the gap. What NBA Central probably didn't think was going to be just spammed in the comments was, why the hell does Paul Pierce have 0.8% of the vote? Someone, probably Paul Pierce, who went to Kansas, Bird Connection, probably voted for himself, but did join the likes of Magic Johnson. Shout out the Jersey of the Week. Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, LeBron, and Michael Jordan as one of the greatest players. I think Paul Pierce quote tweeted this. I just thought it was funny that he's popping up on a list like this. Delusional Paul Pierce, typical of a Kansas Jayhawk.
Is this just a reference to that one Game of Zones episode where Bill Simmons votes for Paul Pierce's vote?
Doesn't he like win the? Yeah, doesn't he win the?
Paul Pierce is the GOAT, man.
Yeah,
that's like what he says.
They need to bring that back. I liked Game of Zones,
but
there were good memes.
Good to know that people still know what's up. Michael Jordan,
the truth,
number one.
I think LeBron's going to pass him at some point, because you're going to get a big generation of players coming into the NBA that watched him.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, Paul Pierce, he just had to use the bathroom. That's what I know Paul Pierce the best for. Anyway, there you go. There's your main bird of the week, Paul Pierce. I am not a Kansas fan. Payton, what's the best thing you learned?
Best thing I learned this week, Reggie Bush is finally getting his Heisman Trophy back 14 years later. You can see there the ESPN report. He had it taken away for basically the same thing that happens with NIL for every recruit now. Now he gets his trophy back. He gets to go to the Heisman ceremony. This was a thing that had kind of been it kind of came out of nowhere. I know there was a ton of support for him getting it back, but I really never imagined he would. So good for Reggie Bush. I didn't grow up watching this season, but obviously I'm very well aware of Reggie Bush from his NFL days, and obviously it's been very chronicled, his USC tenure. So
my favorite part about it is this morning Matt Leinart called him. I don't know if you guys saw it. He took a screenshot. It was on FaceTime. It was really cool to see that. I think the biggest winner, the biggest winner, of course, is Reggie Bush. The biggest loser, I think, right now is Kim Kardashian. I don't know if you guys remember. I think she was the one that kind of leaked some of the stuff that he received after they broke up.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either, actually.
Yeah.
If that's true, that's incredible. I did not know that.
That is pretty funny. Yeah, long overdue. Good for Reggie Bush. All time. He wasn't a Pete Carroll product, was he? Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he was Pete Carroll at tenure.
Nice. Congrats to Reggie. Kenny, what did you learn this week?
Best thing I learned this week, and something that I brought up last week as well, is that Brian Early is just the biggest Mizzou fan. Like, this is probably a great hire because he just lives and breathes Mizzou football, athletics, just school culture. And he's only been here for a couple months now. He quote tweeted the post from Uniswag of the new stadium renovations that we talked about on Monday's show, with administration not playing around, fastest rising program in the SEC. A lot of momentum at Mizzou right now. There's some blue bloods in this league, but Mizzou is in the new blood, #MIZ. And I thought, and this is just really cool to see from a guy who hasn't even had a full season on the staff yet. And he's just all in Mizzou everywhere. And I did tell Payton this. It kind of reads like a guy from like On 3 almost. The guy who's in charge at On 3, his name escapes me, but he kind of tweets like this too, where it's very like upbeat and rah. And I thought it was really cool from Brian Early.
Yeah.
When he's talking about Mizzou's new blood, is he talking about JR Blood? Brother of Daniel Blood? No, but for real, Brian Early has definitely been like all over. Definitely like his Twitter presence. He seems like a very fun follow. He matches Drink's energy a lot. It just kind of feels like, Drink's a very kind of, he's got a bit of a personality to him. He marches to the beat of his own drum. Brian Early kind of feels somewhat similar to that.
Yeah, agreed. I like it. I like it when the coaches are on Twitter. Like CY is always pretty good with that on the basketball team. Brian Early seems like he's good with it. Drinkwitz, when he chooses to be, is always kind of fun. So gives a little added flair to the presence there. The best thing I learned this week, a legendary Mizzou career, and I guess just career overall, is coming to an end. Jaden Cox, of course, the famous notable Mizzou wrestler, and obviously had a ton of accolades internationally for wrestling. He's retiring. Age 29. He's won a whole bunch of stuff, a bunch of world championships, won 3 Division I wrestling championships with Mizzou, and just an all-timer. If you're talking to Mount Rushmore of Mizzou winners, he is definitely up there. He got a standing ovation after his last match, left his shoes on the mat as well. So just a legend all around. Jaden Cox. Let me go through. Ready? So he won 4 MAC championships, 3 Division I wrestling championships, 1 U.S. Open championship. He won the Yasar Dogu tournament in 2019, 2 Pan American championship gold medals, and then 2 world championship gold medals, 1 silver medal, and 2 bronze medals, and then got a bronze medal at the 2016 Olympics. A lot of stuff. A lot of awards for Jaden Cox. So
very accomplished.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he did the whole tradition, leaving your boots on the mat. It's kind of crazy because it felt like every other month you'd see some sort of headline about Jaden Cox winning something. But yeah, it's the end of the line. Only 29, man. He's still got so much ahead of him.
Maybe he'll bang Big Mo this year. That'd be really cool to have him back.
That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah. Football game.
Might break it. Look at
I think he's done it recently, too. I think in the last 4 years, I remember him coming back at one point.
Maybe
that sounds right.
Yeah. I want to butt in real quick. You like how when your parents or like just family members just tell you a lie growing up and you don't know it's a lie? I think that's what it was about the Kim Kardashian and Reggie Bush thing. I looked it up and I found a headline about it, and she has a quote that says, "Reggie worked hard for that Heisman and deserves it. He earned it. I really don't think it's fair to give it back." So it was like the total opposite of what my family told me growing up. Maybe there was something on the Keeping Up with the Kardashians that made them think that way. But I guess she's a winner too. They even though they're not together anymore.
There you go. I'm glad you clarified that. It's very key to not bash Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, that's why if you're watching on YouTube, I kept looking at my phone because I was trying to do research on that.
Trying to fact check. He was trying to fact check. That's funny. Well, good. I'm glad you clarified that, Kenny. That'll do it for the show, boys. Good show. To send you off into your weekend.
This one comes from our favorite TV series, The Today Show. Guys, this is a layup. You got to get this one. Why did the pony ask for a glass of water?
Why?
It was a little horse.
Yep, because it was a little horse. Very good, Kenny. Kenny's favorite segment, favorite TV series, The Today Show. Kenny's a big Al Roker guy. Savannah,
Al Roker White House.
Hoda.
Search it.
Well, there you go. That's the joke. Very easy one today.
Good job, Peyton. All right. That'll do it for the show. Thanks, everybody, for listening, watching. Subscribe on the YouTube. Thank you to Bet Online for sponsoring the show. We'll be back with a bunch more news. We're going to do that basketball lineups thing soon as well. There's, of course, as I say, hey, let's do a longer, non-newsy segment for once, then a bunch of news happens. So that's just our luck, but that's all right. That's more content to bring to you guys. We appreciate everyone for listening, watching. See you guys on Monday.